Hello, welcome back to the channel. So as you guys saw in that little intro that I put together there, just a couple weeks ago I got back from a trip me and my mother went on. We started in Truro, Nova Scotia at the Via Rail train station, and we headed westward to Montreal on the Via Rail Ocean train, which I would suggest to anyone who is either in Nova Scotia or in Montreal and wants to go, the opposite way. If you're in Montreal, you want to go to Nova Scotia or even New Brunswick, you can get off in New Brunswick. Or if you're in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and you want to head towards Montreal or Quebec City, I suggest checking out the train at least. It might not be a good fit for you, but it might be. In my last 3 trips to Quebec, I took the train both ways, and on one of those, yeah, let's just cut that. So on my very first trip, my inaugural trip to Montreal, I took the plane, and the plane's fine going to Montreal. You end up at Trudeau, which is just west of the city. And Montreal is great for public transit, so they've got, I think it's called the 747 bus that goes directly from the airport and heads right down René Lévesque Boulevard, which is kind of like the biggest boulevard in downtown Montreal. It's called the locals call it the hotel bus basically, because that's what it does. It goes from the airport to the hotels and back frequently and reliably. Like I said, Montreal has a fabulous transit system, and we're going to see that in this video. So that's enough about how I got there. Once we got to Montreal, we had 3 days in the city, and I've done all the touristy stuff before, but my mother hasn't, so I figured we'd do all the touristy stuff. So on our first day, we basically just hung around Old Montreal. I'm going to give you a hotel recommendation if you're looking for one. If you're not, you can just disregard. Every time that I've stayed in Montreal over the past 3 years, I have stayed at the Hotel Faubourg. It is in the Quartier du Spectacle on the east side of St. Catherine Street over towards, what's a good cross street? Saint Laurent. It's basically at Saint Laurent and René Lévesque. It's not a fancy hotel, but its location is fabulous. The staff is fabulous, and it's just a great spot to stay with if you're in Montreal. I suggest checking it out at least. So anyway, like I say, our first day we basically just hung around Old Montreal, did some walking and just experiencing the city. Ate at a couple good restaurants. Montreal is world renowned for its restaurants, and it's that way for a reason. It's got some spectacular food, cafes, basically anything that you could want from an international city you will find in Montreal. On day 2, we started the day by going over to Ile Hélène, which is where Parc Jean Drapeau is located. Every time that I've been back to Montreal, I make a point of going over to the island and looking at the downtown, the skyline from the island. In my opinion, it is the best spot to get pictures of the skyline. Hopefully you enjoy these pictures of it. I was also fortunate enough that I could put my drone up. The weather was perfect, so here's some drone edits for your viewing pleasure. I didn't get a whole lot of shots of what we did, just more or less some landmarks while we were there. I wanted to try to spend my time enjoying the experience of the trip with my mother. It might be the last, fair-sized travel that we get to do for a couple years. What else can I say about that? If you still have parents in your life and you like them, try to do stuff with them, because they're not going to be here forever. So then after we were done in Montreal for our 3 days, we had to head down to Toronto. Part of the reason for the trip was my mother had a conference to attend for her workplace. But anyway, she had to go attend a conference, so that was kind of the excuse to go. I was just gonna meet her in Toronto when we planned this, but then she decided, frig it, I'll just do the whole trip with them. So we ended up doing a 9-day trip. It was really great. My mother's a good traveling buddy. So anyway, we took the Via Rail from Gare Centrale and headed down to Toronto, which I will say was a fabulous trip. It was stress-free, beautiful sights, and you get to enter Toronto from kind of like if you take the GO train from east of Toronto, it's not going to be new for you, but it was a new entrance to the city for me, and it was really cool. Got to see like the distillery district and stuff as we entered it. Toronto's just a really beautiful city, you know. It's definitely an urban jungle, but it's a fantastic city. And as anyone who's ever been to Toronto knows, once you step off of that, once you step out of the train at Union Station and you head outside, you're greeted to a beautiful, beautiful view of the CN Tower. And here's a couple photos that I managed to gather of that. One at night with the light trails, and then just a regular one. The sky was beautiful. And then if you turn 360 degrees around, you get a beautiful look at this building, which is Toronto's knockoff of, what's it called? The Spire. It's in London, the original one. This is basically a knockoff of it, but it's a very nice building, don't get me wrong. So on our first day in Toronto, we decided, again, we'd do some touristy type stuff. So we did Ripley's Aquarium. And I gotta tell you, it was one of my favorite parts of Toronto. Mostly just kids running around, which, you know, it is what it is. It's for kids, so you can't really complain too much about that. The kids were all having a great time, you could tell. Now, whether that was for the social media content they were gathering or if they were actually enjoying it, it's hard to say. But either way, they were definitely enjoying themselves, and they weren't disrespectful or anything, you know? They were just having a good time. Ripley's is worth a visit, no matter how old you are, especially if you've never done it before. Even without kids, but if you have kids, you have to go to Ripley's Aquarium if you're there. It's right at the base of the CN Tower. You can't miss it. So after we were done on our first day in Toronto, our second day, Mother was going to be going to her conference, so I kind of had the day to myself. So I decided I would make my way from the Chelsea Hotel, which is probably 15 blocks north of Union, and I would make my way down to Union, checking out the landmarks. The one landmark that I really wanted to see was the Gooderham building. Keep that in your mind for when we get down there. So, you know, on my way down Bay Street, I decided I would cut across, go over past Dundas, and then head down Church Street, because you guessed it, there's some beautiful churches down there. I don't know if I got any photos of it on this trip. The sun was really hindering my progress, but I definitely have some of the old ones, so I'll put that up on the screen now. And as I got down toward Union, I happened to be going through this kind of like overhang, which I believe was on the corner of either Bay or, I'm not going to say exactly where, it was somewhere around Union. And you had an unobstructed view of the CN Tower with a beautiful magnolia tree, and I got these photos of the CN Tower, which I felt very fortunate to get. It was a really nice day. The sky was perfect. It wasn't too bright. It wasn't too dark. It was just a lovely day for photo taking, and I was really happy with these photos that I got of the CN Tower.
Bruh.
And other than that, we basically spent our last day in Toronto doing, you know, touristy stuff, food stuff, just looking around the city. And then we made our way to our final destination, which is going to be Niagara Falls, Ontario. If you guys follow this channel at all, you'll have seen I already did a Flix bus review from downtown Toronto to Niagara. I'll link that right now in a card up here. A fabulous trip. The Go bus down to Niagara, well worth the $20 that I paid for it. Well worth it. It was perfect without a hitch. Once we got to Niagara, if you've never been to Niagara, it might surprise you when you first get there. Niagara is interesting. Interesting is a great way to put it. So kind of west, near where Horseshoe Falls is, west of where we stayed, is kind of like, kind of like a residential but casino area with, basically just a normal city. Like and this is hard to explain, but it's less hard to explain once you see pictures of Clifton Hill. So me and my mother stayed at the Sheraton Falls View, which is over at the base of Clifton Hill. And once you go to Clifton Hill, you're in basically a different world. It's whimsical. It's full of rides, attractions, things to catch your eyes. It's basically a big theme park stuck in the middle of a city, it's very cool. Do not get me wrong. I am not putting it down. It is very cool. The first time that I was introduced to this Clifton Hill, I sometimes like to doom scroll on TikTok, and I saw this guy bombing it in a wheelchair. What? And it's crazy. Anyway, Buddy was bombing Clifton Hill in this wheelchair, and you should go check out his videos, and it'll give you an idea of just how whimsical this place is. Just full of whimsy. It's beautiful. It's very cool. It even has an upside down house, believe it or not, over by a Papa John's, which I ate at. It was pretty good. All right, so that's enough putting that off. I'm going to show you some photos of the falls, both of them. I will say, one thing that really surprised me, I liked the American Falls better than I liked Horseshoe Falls, which, if you grew up in Canada, Horseshoe Falls is the one that they advertise, basically. And don't get me wrong, Horseshoe is beautiful, and especially when you're in like Journey beneath the tunnel, and yeah, you're over. Don't get me wrong, it is a beautiful waterfall, but so is the American Falls, and the American Falls is kind of a little more visible, less obstructed view, and the Horseshoe, because of its shape and the shallow water that it lands in, you get this really crazy mist, like almost like a fog that is always there, kind of like in the Horseshoe part, so in here, and it rises up. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's a different experience than what you realize when you're looking at it in pictures as someone wanting to go there. It's very cool, but it's different. So yeah, I'm just going to show you a couple more photos of Niagara Falls and the surrounding area. basically going to do it. If you guys have liked this very short trip recap and showing off my pictures from my trip, make sure you hit that like button and that you're subscribed so that you catch all of my content. Right now I'm in the midst of a GTA 5 Let's Play series. I'm going to be doing a GTA 6 Let's Play series when it comes out. And other than that, thank you guys very much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.